Do not let this Bills team in the tournament.
You're right.
7th seed or the 6th seed, you don't want to sink.
Buffalo Bills playoff chances just skyrocketed here in 2023. NFL analysts across the league are saying that you do not want to see the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. We are clearly the most dangerous team in the NFL. Here we can see too that the New York Times playoff machine says that a loss to the Cowboys with wins in the final 3 games for the Buffalo Bills include the Chargers, the Patriots, and the Dolphins would still give the Buffalo Bills a 73% chance to make the playoffs. Winning out, including the Dallas Cowboys, would give them a 99% chance. And the Bills really don't even need to worry necessarily about the AFC playoff picture, because if we win the division against the Miami Dolphins, who just blew a 14-point lead with 2 minutes 46 seconds left in the game to the Tennessee Titans, the Bills win the AFC East, we solidify ourselves in the playoffs. We could see Tyreek Hill, the most dynamic wide receiver in the NFL, went down with an ankle injury during the Miami Dolphins game, and you could see him walking to the locker room without a helmet. His ankle is wrapped up. And don't forget, he actually injured his hand earlier this season. You could see this is the play where Tyreek Hill got hurt, got his ankle bent underneath him. Obviously, Tyreek Hill here in a ton of pain and could not come back into the game. CJ Stroud taking a huge hit in concussion protocol is a big loss. Obviously, one of the most star players in the NFL this year. TJ Watt sustaining a massive blow to his head and should have been taken out of this game for concussion protocol, but was not, and then was later seen utilizing a visor this past week and also using the salts on the sidelines. Very interesting that TJ Watt is on pace to have the NFL sack record. Justin Herbert will most likely undergo surgery on his index finger on his throwing hand, meaning that he cannot throw the football. It's highly, highly likely that he's going to miss the remainder of this season. 4 games left in this season, almost a quarter of the season still left to play. The Baltimore Ravens are in the number 1 seed. Miami Dolphins lose a spot going into the number 2 seed. But looking at their overall records, you have the Baltimore Ravens, who just lost Kyle Hamilton. Technically, if the Ravens lose all 4 of their remaining games, the Buffalo Bills still could clinch the number 1 seed in the AFC. Miami Dolphins at 9-4. Kansas City Chiefs, Jaguars, and Browns all sit at 8-5. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, Indianapolis Colts, Texans, Broncos, and Bengals at 7-6 currently are ahead of Bills Mafia. Just to show you the teams that are ahead of us in this playoff race, their 4 remaining games, the Bengals have the Vikings, the Steelers, the Chiefs, and also the Browns, who are all ahead of us in this playoff race. You can see the Bengals are dealing with some injuries of their own, especially with Cam Tyler-Britt injuring that ankle and will remain on injured reserve for the minimum of 4 games. And let's not forget, they are without Joe Burrow. Now, the Denver Broncos, who are ahead of the Bills in this playoff race, have to play the Lions, who have been very tough this year. They have to play the Patriots, the Chargers, and then also the Raiders. The Broncos did sustain an injury to their left guard, Quinn Menierez, with an illness, who was released from the hospital and actually will fly back to Denver. Nick Benito, their linebacker, has a knee and was ruled out last week's game versus the Chargers. Next on the list is the Houston Texans. We saw CJ Stroud go down with a concussion. They already lost Tank Dell. Let's not forget, Houston just lost to the Jets 30-6. And we have Robert Woods here talking about the injuries to not only CJ Stroud, but also Nico Collins suffering a calf injury. Houston Texans are walking wounded right now, with even tight end Dalton Schultz being hurt. Will Anderson, their defensive end, also got hurt during that game against the Jets with an ankle injury. Tavir Thomas got hurt, was ruled out for the remainder of the game Sunday against the Jets. Something that I've been talking about, playing the Jets, they're a very physical, dirty team, and teams sustain injuries, just like the Miami Dolphins sustained Jalen Phillips being hurt for the rest of the season, popping his Achilles. And keep in mind, the Miami Dolphins have to play the Jets again. We also have the Colts ahead of the Buffalo Bills with the same record, but they have a huge injury to Jonathan Taylor. Starting quarterback Gardner Minshew in the Indianapolis Colts without one of the best running backs in the game with an apparent thumb injury, and kept him out. and could keep him out for weeks to come. Pittsburgh Steelers are without Kenny Pickett and are starting Mitch Trubisky, and another dynamic player that just got hurt was TJ Watt, but there's no hiding it anymore. TJ Watt is officially in concussion protocol. Mike Tomlin had comments on this and said that, we really couldn't check his eyes because of that dark visor on, and I think that's kind of an excuse that they're making for putting him back into the game. So TJ Watt started the game without this dark visor, ends up hitting his head, putting the dark visor back on, was smelling salts on the sidelines, and went back into the game. Now, I know the Browns at 8-5 just pulled out a win against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but we all know Justin Herbert wasn't 100% on that ankle. Christian Kirk, their star slot wide receiver, sustaining that injury the week before and was also out. Plus, it was in Cleveland, but the Browns playing with a backup quarterback, Joe Flacco, just got moved back to the practice squad and is actually free to sign with any team in the NFL, which means that Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to be the quarterback for the remainder of the season for the Cleveland Browns. They're without Deshaun Watson. They're without Nick Chubb. The Cleveland Browns could easily drop a few games. I mentioned this in my previous videos that the Tennessee Titans were fully capable of beating the Miami Dolphins. And then the Tennessee Titans, what better way to keep this high potent passing attack in the Miami Dolphins on the sidelines? You have a running back like Derrick Henry. That these teams that are ahead of us in the playoff race have to actually play one another and will guarantee a loss for one of these teams. And again, with the Browns, they have to play the Bears, the Texans, who are ahead of us. They have to play the New York Jets, who just beat the Houston Texans. And then they also have to play the Cincinnati Bengals. We all know Justin Herbert for the Jags is not 100%. The Buffalo Bills just beat the Kansas City Chiefs. We've beat the Miami Dolphins before, and they're down with Tyreek Hill. Jalen Phillips not there. And then the Baltimore Ravens, who sit in the number 1 seed, actually just lost Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton, the starting safety for the Baltimore Ravens. They are already without Mark Andrews, one of the best tight ends in the game. Adam Schefter reporting that he went under an MRI, and the standout safety has a sprained MCL and will be considered week to week. When you look at the remaining schedule for the Buffalo Bills, really the Cowboys are the hardest team that we're going to have to face, but they're coming here to chilly Buffalo at home. I think that's a huge advantage for Bills Mafia. The LA Chargers just lost Justin Herbert, who a lot of people are saying is going to be done for the remainder of this season. And Adam Schefter reporting that he is not likely to play Thursday night, which he didn't, and then his fractured right index finger will be consulted to determine the extent of the injury and how much time he will miss. And while all these injuries are occurring for other teams, the Buffalo Bills appear to be getting much healthier. Now, I know Micah Hyde, AJ Epinesa going down last week versus the Chiefs. McDermott admitting that they are going to be week to week going forward, but he also admitted that
Daquan Jones.
Yeah, there's a chance that we get him back.
Saying that he's teetering that line. He's making a lot of the football moves that he needs to. And I think Matt Milano could very well make an appearance for the Buffalo Bills, especially if we make the playoffs. Supplementing the loss for Trey White with Rasul Douglas. When you couple all the injuries for all the teams ahead of us in the AFC playoff picture with their strength of schedule, even playing one another, which will guarantee a loss, means that the Buffalo Bills playoff chances have skyrocketed. Plus, the extra motivation here and all the drama and hate surrounding the Buffalo Bills has clearly motivated the owner, the GM, the coaches, the staff, and also the fans. We all know those New York Jets are a very, very tough team to play, and the Miami Dolphins could very well lose more players playing against them. I hope you all enjoyed this deep dive into the AFC playoff picture. The AFC East is still up for grabs. Miami blowing a 2-touchdown lead with only 2 minutes, 46 seconds left in that game is a great thing to see against a Tennessee Titans team that has really been horrible so far this season. Miami Dolphins still has not beaten a team over 500 dating back to 2021. I appreciate you guys all so much. If you enjoyed this video, hit like. That will signal me to keep making videos just like this. Also consider subscribing, releasing videos on a daily basis here. Check the link in the description for the Buffalo Chicken Wing merch, long sleeve hoodies, t-shirts, black, blue, gray, red, all sorts of different cool styles too as well. Appreciate you guys all so much, and go Bills.